Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Mirade.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
Support Wrestling Insiders in-studio shoot interviews on eBay with this brand new personally autographed WWE Royal Rumble 2021 11x14 poster signed by WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, his advocate Paul Heyman, and Kevin Owens. Reigns and Owens battled for the Universal title in a last standing match January 31st in the Thunderdome in Tampa. This limited edition collector's poster is number 31 of only 50 produced. Comes with WWE authentication hologram on the poster itself. Also comes with an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas and a bonus autographed 8x10 photo. Get this rare, awesome collectible for your man cave and help keep wrestling legends working now. Boston Wrestling Sports and the MWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE, NXT, and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to another installment of Wrestling Insider's current event. It is a big Saturday night here in the world of Boston Wrestling MWF. I'm Dan Mirade. I'll be joined by David Carter in just a minute as we count down the days. Forget about months, forget about weeks at this point. We're talking literally days before we hit the beautiful Sunshine State, Tampa, Florida, specifically for our Wrestle House endeavor. We have a plethora of guests, including WWE Hall of Famer Gerald Briscoe, Al Snow, Dutch Mantel, a.k.a. Zeb Coulter, who was just part of a championship main event, or one of the main events at WrestleMania 29 a few years ago, JTG of Crime Time. More to be added before Raw on Monday. It's really shaping up to be a fun week. And we may need one of those new guests to become the permanent Tuesday guest. I know most folks probably are familiar with what's gone on with Tony Atlas at this point, or whoever it is that is producing or running Tony's Facebook page. I don't know. I still have not had any communication with Tony, but as anyone that has been active on Facebook has seen, I am very willing to respond to those that have never met me personally or spoken to me personally that have found the need to bash me. And we put together a little video, thanks to our great intern team here at the studio, that reminded me that the last time Tony was here, he was trying to get you involved in some project on his Facebook. And I said, you know what? That rings a bell. So I went through the video archives, and I was able to find what the interns were talking about. So we made a little YouTube video, and hopefully that enlightened some that were on Facebook. But I am so mentally and physically exhausted from this week. Today is my 20th consecutive day here at this beautiful studio without a day off, so we can produce fine content for you fine fans. 7 days a week around the corner, around the globe, as we like to say. Of course, we need thumbs up. We need YouTube subscriptions that are free, and click the little notification bell so you know the new video content is coming. We need you to share the links across social media, wrestling websites, wrestling Facebook groups. We need you to click on the eBay store link in the description box below. We got awesome merchandise from superstars of every era. Plus, you get an on-air thank you and a lot of other bonuses. Patreon.com/Boston Wrestling is rocking with early ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider programs. Our studio shoot interview DVD library that's been seen by millions online, seen by millions more on the Howard Stern Show. Patreon exclusives like this Thursday, we have the Marty Jannetty WWF Super Tape 2 watch-along, which is a lot of fun to have Marty watch his own matches from that Coliseum video release. Plus, you have the knowledge that your fine self, when you're getting ready to wake up for the day, go to bed at night, when you're brushing your teeth, looking in that mirror, you can say, you know what? I help professional wrestling legends stay working. So that's a cool thing. Again, patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. As we noted, we're going to be having great guests at our Wrestle House in Tampa, not just interviews, but live episodes and cyber autograph signings the Thursday before WrestleMania through the day after WrestleMania, before Dave and I take in a major league sporting event for the first time, and I can't even remember how long. So a lot going on. But Dave, how could I forget? Tomorrow night live at 5 p.m. You guys are loving these watch-alongs, so we're going to give you watch-alongs. We're going to be live for a retro watch-along tomorrow night, a little early at 5 p.m. We're going to see how you guys like that for the start time. We're going to, before the Monday Night Wars even began in the spring of '95, things got a little interesting when WCW said, you know what? Why don't we try and make a little bit more money? And instead of trying to run our pay-per-views on the months that WWF doesn't run them, why don't we run 12 a year? And then WWF followed suit in May when they started the In Your House series on the months they didn't have one of their big 5 pay-per-views. So it was a very interesting time in wrestling, 6 months before the Monday Night Wars officially began. Dave and I will look at this mega event from top to bottom, the entire card. You can watch along with us if you subscribe to WWE Network, or if you want to bootleg WCW Uncensored from somewhere, that is at your discretion. One thing that we certainly would never bootleg is some of the great prizes that we're going to have on the not Wheel of Fortune, but Ring of Fortune, as opposed to how we did things last week during Fastlane. We're going to have 2 prizes this year on the 14-slot wheel. The grand prize winner will get an autographed poster of the late Vader, who challenges Hulk Hogan for the WCW title in the main event of Uncensored 95. And a runner-up will get an autographed Vader 8x10 autograph photo. When Vader was in the studio a couple of years back, he was gracious enough to sign a ton of merchandise, and we're going to give it away to you fine folks if you can help us with Wrestle House. $10 to enter if you use PayPal. For those that find the need to use the Super Chat on YouTube, you got to do 15 because YouTube takes an awfully big chunk of that pie. And with that said, we're doing the track meet. I'm about out of gas. I'm all blown up. Dave, the baton is passed to you as we look at WWE SmackDown from March the 26th, 2021, as the road to WrestleMania continues and almost closes out.
Yes, sir. SmackDown. We're going to review it on a beautiful Saturday. I don't know.
Beautiful.
Usually you talk about the weather. It's a beautiful Saturday in New England, that's for sure.
Well, I really was doing a track meet earlier today. I just didn't want to tell you.
Okay, there we go. We kicked off SmackDown with the video package of what happened at Fastlane between Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. We get that out of the way. Daniel Bryan heads down to the ring. On the mic, he says, everyone saw Roman tap out. He has never tapped out. Never in his career tapped out. Talks about Edge hitting him with the chair. Tired of sitting on the sidelines. I earned that Universal Championship match, and I've earned the Universal Championship title. I'm willing to earn it all over again. Wants a rematch with Roman Reigns tonight. And then he sits down in the chair and won't leave the ring till he gets it. Then they go to commercial break. I liked it. You know why? Because it was quick. And then they still, you know what they did is they kept him sitting in the ring, which I kind of like. He sat there for a good, 2 or 3 minutes when they came back, too.
Took the show hostage, yeah.
But, how they usually do, and then all of a sudden someone comes down, they at least let it go for a few minutes. You know what I mean? Until somebody said, all right, I have had enough. But I liked it. What did you think of it?
I thought it was a pretty good way to open the show. You know, Daniel had something of importance to say, so it made the promo have a little more value to it, fresh off of the Fastlane pay-per-view, and it kept me interested to see what was going to happen next, unlike a lot of them.
Absolutely. We come back from the commercial, and like I said, he's still sitting there in the ring. Another minute, probably minute and a half goes by, and then Adam Pearce comes out and says, I can't give you the match. The ref's decision is final. Daniel Bryan says, there's a double standard here. WrestleMania is 2 nights. First night, Edge versus Roman. Winner of that faces me at night 2. Edge comes out, slaps the mic out of Adam Pearce's hand, which I like. He just walked up to him and slapped it down, goes right into the ring, talks about how WrestleMania is his dream. You don't deserve the match at WrestleMania, you son of a bitch, he says. Then they brawl. Edge gets the upper hand, gets the chair, and starts hitting Daniel Bryan with that. Then, just as he starts to leave the ring, he just stares at him, and they both stare at each other, and that's the segment. I really like this. It was short and sweet, and I like how Adam Pearce didn't just give him the match. Sometimes they just do that. Yeah. I like that. I thought it was definitely this whole thing, even though it was a 2-segment, pretty much the same thing, same guys. I liked it a lot. It wasn't like, oh man, come on. I really enjoyed it.
I have to say, I like you, I like the segment, but I like that original concept idea that they threw out there better than what they wound up going with. I like the idea of having one championship match the first night and then Bryan face the winner the second night. I perhaps could have looked at the route they took with 1994 WrestleMania 10 when you had co-winners in the Royal Rumble, and they wound up doing a coin flip. Lex Luger would get the first shot of the night against Yokozuna. To make things even, Brett would face Owen Hart to open the show, and then Brett would face the winner of Luger and Yoko to end the show. So I would have found it more interesting to me, I guess, because I hate triple threat matches. I would have liked to have seen maybe Bryan wrestle someone on Saturday night, and then they have Edge and Roman on Saturday night, and then Bryan, win, lose, or draw, still gets that title match on the Sunday, whether it be against Edge or Roman. One man's opinion.
No, you know what? I thought about that after, too. I was thinking about that. I thought it would be pretty cool, too. And after you just said the WrestleMania 10 thing, I think that would have been even better, like that.
Yeah, instead of, wasting time with the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn match that no one really wants to see or cares about.
I honestly wish you didn't say that, because now that you just used that as an example, I wish they did that. Yeah. I honestly, you just ruined that for me, because I was like, all right, I can accept the triple threat, but now that I'm thinking about it, that would have been so cool doing it like that.
Someone like maybe Nakamura, who doesn't appear to have a spot on the show, that might have been an interesting match.
Yeah, damn, now that you said that, I like that a lot. That's good booking right there. Why didn't they give you the pencil, right?
They didn't call and ask. My phone is usually on. I don't know. Tony doesn't want to talk to me. Vince doesn't want to talk to me. At least you do, though, so that keeps the talk shows going.
Exactly. From there, we get Roman Reigns backstage. Tell Paul to bring Adam Pearce. Tells Jey Uso to go with them. Jey says, are you sure? Roman says, yeah. What are they going to do? Fire us? I love these little segments with Roman. I really do. They come across so real, so serious, and they don't make them seem like catty, like little things like that wouldn't really happen. Like, honestly, this would happen. If you were mad at somebody, go, and you had lackeys with you, like if you're in a gang or something, this is what would happen. Go get that guy. You know what I mean? That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love
kind of mafioso-like. I enjoyed that little skit.
I absolutely love it. I oh my God, I love it. You know what I'm missing, and I just want to bring it up now, is imagine if Cena was in like a feud with Reigns right now and he was doing this. This would be gold. Between their two promos, I think this would be gold. But
well, I'll still never get over the fact they wasted that first-time matchup on a B pay-per-view, along with on the same night wasting the first Strowman and Lesnar one-on-one match. But that's a different story for a different time, I guess.
I just was thinking about that last night because I just Cena with it. But yeah, what did you think? You like these segments too? Are you a fan of these?
There isn't much Roman and Uso have done since late summer that I could find any fault with whatsoever.
All right, so you're a big fan too. That's good. We get the first match of the night, which is Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which I quoted, "You were right," because I was saying it was going to happen at Mania, but you were right. So I guess they did do it on a SmackDown. Been looking forward to this match.
Be honest.
Yeah, I can't stand when Cole calls him Shin. It bothers me. I don't know if it bothers you or fans out there that watch listening to this, but I can't stand. It just bothers me. Shin this, Shin that. What's he kicking him in the shin? Like, come on, Cole. You know. I love the Falcon Arrow move. I wish that was a finisher for Seth or somebody because it's such a cool looking move that it could be a finisher, but it's just a move now that they do during the match. But I like that a lot. I thought the match was A+. I really enjoyed it. Great match like I thought it would be. But after thinking about it, I think this was a perfect match on SmackDown, like you were saying. Lots of action, smooth transitions between moves. Seth Rollins wins by pinfall. Seth attacks Nakamura after the match. Cesaro runs out and starts beating on Seth. Seth escapes before Cesaro can do the swing. Really like the match, really like the ending. And when we find out what ends up happening between them two, I like that. So I like this whole segment because of what happened after finding out. So I thought this was great.
I thought it was a good match. I have to say, in my opinion, I think I would have booked it a little different, where I would have had the Cesaro and Rollins play out on TV, and I would have saved Nakamura and Rollins for WrestleMania. But I could just tell from the way they had been going with Cesaro the past month or so, he had a much bigger destination in place than Nakamura, which is why, even though I didn't know it to be fact by anyone from WWE, my wrestling intelligence told me that it was going to be a TV match for those two, and that Cesaro would ultimately get the Mania match. But I think both will be good. I just think, like I said, when Nakamura's on, Nakamura can really be on and put together something spectacular. Nothing against Cesaro, but like I've said, Cesaro can be outside of his moves a little bland.
Right on. Yeah, I totally agree. I can't disagree with any of that. But I'm not mad at the match either because honestly, as we find out later on, which we'll talk about, I think that could be the match of the night, whatever night it's on, between Cesaro and Seth Rollins. Wrestling-wise, I think it could steal the show. But we get Adam Pearce backstage in Roman's locker room. Roman stands up, stares at him, and tells Adam, "You only get me for one night and only one title defense." Adam says, "You will have my decision of what's going to happen at the end of the night. That's all I can tell you." Roman really doesn't like that, but I like it. I like how he's going by his contract and doing what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, he says, "You have me for one night only, title defense, and I'm done. I'm not wrestling 2 nights. I'm not wrestling that night. It's one night. That's it." I love this. Roman is so good right now. It's blowing me away because this isn't the same Roman we've seen in the Shield and everything. And who knows, he could be doing it then, but I really enjoy this.
Well, and again, another small segment, but continued on with the show long storyline to try and figure out what the WrestleMania destination was going to be. I thought it was good.
Absolutely. Before they go to commercial, we see Big E with the Street Profits come down to the ring. We go to commercial. Then we come back from commercial. We have Seth Rollins backstage freaking out about Cesaro. Bad things are going to happen to him. He challenges Cesaro at WrestleMania for a match. Cesaro gets Seth and throws him into some box, those cases backstage, and swings Rollins backstage. After that, he says he accepts his challenge at WrestleMania. So like we said, we're going to get Seth Rollins versus Cesaro at WrestleMania, which, like I said, I think it's going to steal the show. It could definitely steal the show if it's done right. Those two guys are great workers, can tell a great story. Did they say what night it's going to be on yet?
I believe they're Saturday.
So they're Saturday. All right. I like the segment too. I thought it was a different way to have a challenge. You know what I mean? And I like how he still got the swing. And Seth takes the swing so good. You know what I mean? I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. What did you think of it?
It was all right. I think Seth's wrestling is a lot better than the gimmick. That's for sure.
Right on.
He's a man without a country. No more AOP. No more Buddy Murphy.
Yeah, he's just by himself. I mean, it gives him something because you know what? You can't always have him in the championship match. So I don't mind him doing this right now. From there, we get a match: Big E and Street Profits versus Apollo, Gable, and Otis. I thought it was actually a really good match. I'm not a huge fan of 6-man tags, but I thought this was good. I didn't think it was a bad match. Apollo Crews won with the Olympic Slam. That was the Olympic Slam, right? What he did to him. They just didn't call
a modified version of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they didn't even call the move. They just said, "Wow, Apollo Crews slams him," and then he beats Big E with it. And I was shocked with that. If that's gonna be his new finisher, I'm shocked. That's like pretty much like an Olympic slam. But yeah, I thought it was a good match. Otis didn't bother me in the match like he usually does, and Gable didn't either. Like, I thought it was actually a really good match. What did you think of it?
Not bad, not bad. Like I said, and I always say, the Street Profits are kind of a one-trick pony. If you've seen one match of theirs, you've seen them all.
Yep.
Big E is a long-term reclamation project to try and get fans to forget about all the nonsense that they spewed for so many years. But you know what? Not a bad match. It was an entertaining TV match. I was big on the idea of pushing Apollo Crews until he gained that accent, but, we'll have to see how it continues to evolve as the weeks and months go on.
Right on. We get a segment backstage. Adam Pearce and Edge. Edge says, "You're not going to reward Daniel Bryan for his actions." Adam says his concern is the WWE and what's best. He will make his decision later tonight. Edge says, "Let's hope you make the right decision." I like it quick. They're building the story still for the main thing that's, for WrestleMania. I like it a lot. They're not long. They're one-hitters, and they're quick. I liked it. What did you think?
Fine. Nothing great. Nothing that made me cringe. It was fine.
No, exactly. We come back from commercial. We get Kevin Owens in the ring for the KO show. Gets on the mic and says he has a question for Sammy. So get out now. Sammy comes out. Sammy says he knows what Kevin is going to ask him. And yes, I'm sorry for kicking you in the head. Kevin Owens says, "That's not what I wanted to know." Sammy says, "Then it must be if you can still be part of the documentary." Of course you can. Next week we'll be in a red carpet affair for the trailer of it. And Logan Paul is going to be the special guest, which, do you know who Logan Paul is? Side note.
Actually, I do, believe it or not.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because I know you didn't know Bad Bunny. So
when it comes to the celebrities of 2021, I am in my head in the sand a lot of the times, but I don't know why I know who that is, but I do.
Well, there you go. Logan, like I said, Logan Paul is going to be the special guest to help Sammy at the red carpet. Kevin Owens says he doesn't care about anything that he has to say about that. Sammy cuts him off and says, "You owe me an apology." Kevin Owens has had enough and says, "You're going to answer my question now. You and me at WrestleMania, yes or no?" He keeps on getting in his face, gets on his face. Sammy says yes. KO says, "Now that I have the answer," he attacks. He then attacks Sammy, stuns him, and that's how they finish the segment. I didn't mind it. If it's gonna build to something, which it did. I know you cringe at Sammy, and I know you don't like Kevin Owens, but at least it built to a match. At WrestleMania, it built some. I know you don't care about the match, but at least it told a story to get an answer to build a match. It's not like it was just a segment that meant nothing. That's the way I looked at it, so I didn't mind it.
Well, I'll get to know the concourse of Raymond James Stadium a little better during that one, so that's good.
Oh, I love those one-liners you do. We get Daniel Bryan and Adam backstage. Daniel Bryan says, "I'm here to remind you, and you know what the right decision is." Quick little thing. They keep on building it. Didn't mind it. It was fine. Didn't cringe at it like you would say. I thought it was all right. What did you think?
Fine. It continued the progress of the story.
And, I don't know who writes SmackDown, but why can't they do this on Raw? This is great. Like, this is tiny.
It's the tough thing to say is, and you're not wrong, but they have that extra hour they have to deal with every week, which leads to a lot of garbage that you don't see on SmackDown. Imagine if SmackDown was 3 hours, what they could potentially fill that third hour with.
Though, but that's the thing, is if SmackDown could be good like this, I don't know. But like you say, that's another topic for another day. From there, we get Bianca backstage. She's bigger and stronger than Sasha. Mama told me to be the bigger person instead of going after her for getting smacked in the face last week. I'm just a little bit better than Sasha. Quick little segment. She heads to the ring. What'd you think of that? Anything?
I couldn't wait for the match to begin at that point. I was so excited.
I knew you were going to say that because I know it. We get Bianca versus Natty. She's with Tamina. While the match is going on, Sasha comes out looking so damn good. She was, man. That black dress or whatever she was wearing, she's smoking hot, man. Wow. She gets better and better every week. Causes Bianca to get attacked by Natty. Sasha is on the commentary, at commentary now, basically just, running through Cole because Cole's making her real mad. I put Bianca's very strong in the match. Sasha called Cole a creep, which I loved, and stay out of the women's locker room because he kept on doing innuendo. I love that because me and you both don't like Cole really that much. I thought it was actually a really good match. I didn't mind it at all. And, Natty can go. Bianca's good. Bianca rolls outside the ring. Sasha gets in her face, and Bianca knocks her. Rolls back in the ring and pins Natty. After the match, Sasha attacks Bianca. I don't know. I thought it was fine. It builds to their story, continuing that now they're not a tag team. I didn't think the match was bad. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't mind this. It wasn't like something.
I really missed Reginald last night, but I guess maybe I was the only
Well,
one.
that's another, there you go. That's probably why I didn't mind it either, because he wasn't involved with Nia, thank God.
Is Sasha now officially a heel? That's how I kind of felt coming out of the show.
And that's the thing is, I don't know.
Her 8,000th turn, but, who's counting?
Well, that's the thing, too, about what's going on with Edge. Is Edge a heel?
It certainly feels that way.
Right? I don't know. I don't know what to think now, but whatever. From there, we get Roman's Reigns locker room again. Edge comes in. Reigns says, I almost respect you coming in here unannounced. Edge tells Roman, if you have the stroke you say you do, don't let this happen because I don't have to pin you anymore to win the title anymore if he's in it, meaning Daniel Bryan, which is true. Roman thinks about it and just, looks at him like, interesting, I liked it because it is true. It made sense. And you know how Roman always says he has the stroke and everything. I love these segments. These are quick and they're purposeful and they make sense. And that's the best time to watch wrestling, when it makes sense and it builds to something. Am I right?
Other than the fact that you have to look past the fact there's a camera recording these private conversations, right?
Yeah,
it was very good.
You gotta have that because it's right. But I mean,
well, no, you don't necessarily have to have it because wrestling existed for many, many, many decades before that concept was introduced.
Right, but they didn't do things like this either in wrestling back then.
But it was good. I'll say that.
I know it was. I'm not saying it wasn't, but you kind of have to have these promos or these segments because how are you ever going to know, like, why Roman Reigns and Edge ever talk? What are they just going to say when they get in the ring? Yeah, we had to talk. You know what? There's my answer. I guess you could say that, right?
Watch wrestling shows from, say, I don't know, when they debuted in the Dumont Network back in the 50s through about 96 to see how they would transition.
Right, I know that, but also some of the worst ratings they ever had was in the early 90s, doing just wrestling matches with gimmicks. So I don't know.
And some of the highest in the 80s, but...
Right, but you know what I was thinking about when you always say that? Because I listen to my boy, Vince Russo, talk about this. You got to remember this, too. They weren't on TV like Raw every single Monday night and a SmackDown every night either. So when it was on TV, people wanted to watch it. What if back then in the 80s, there was a Raw and a SmackDown? You think people would be that interested still?
What do you mean?
You know how, there's not many people, in the 80s, the ratings were so high, like you just said. There was 13 million people watch Saturday Night's Main Event.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. But if there was a Raw and SmackDown, do you think still 13 million would have tuned in on Saturday Night's Main Event because they've already seen wrestling so much because there's wrestling so polluted now?
No, but you do have to remember at the same time, while certainly not the ratings of the 90s, but in the 80s, you had Superstars of Wrestling was the show that usually the big angles would take part in WWF. That was a syndicated show that in Boston ran on Saturday morning. And then there was the B show called Challenge, which was usually just enhancement matches. Occasionally, you'd see a little angle or a featured matchup. Then on the cable shows on the USA Network, you had All-American Wrestling Sunday at noontime, which would usually feature one featured match and some recaps and interviews and a couple of squash matches from the syndicated shows. And then you had Primetime Wrestling, which eventually became the Raw time slot on Monday night with Gorilla and Bobby as the host, where you'd have feature matches from a lot of different house shows around the country. Again, some of the syndicated squash matches and interview segments and so on and so forth. So, I mean, even then there was, and there were other shows that came and went at different times. But for the main stage, you're talking there was 5 hours of original wrestling.
But it wasn't so polluted like it is now, is what I'm saying.
What do you mean
polluted? You have
wrestling?
There's wrestling every single night.
Well, when I was a kid, we had those 4 WWF shows I mentioned. You had 2 NWA shows. You had the AWA 5 days a week on ESPN. And you had World Class every day on ESPN. Granted, those AWA and World Class shows were only an hour each. But, you pretty much had 7 days a week of wrestling.
Yeah, and I think also too with that there wasn't as much on TV then, and wrestling was a newer concept.
There weren't as
back
many
then.
TV channels, no.
Right, that's what I mean. So now you have more options. Plus, I also agree. Then there wasn't, it wasn't the same. Like wrestling now is more storyline based. Then it was just matches, so you got to see you know what I mean? You look forward to seeing your guy, and that was it.
Well, I disagree with that. I think the storylines were much better back then because as opposed to just throwing something on TV, you were trying to create storylines to get people to get off the couch, get out of the house, go to the arena, and buy a ticket to see it.
See, when I don't know, when I go back, you don't really have storylines. They don't have cars in the backstage. You don't have, segments like that in the backstage, like just for SmackDown in general. You don't have that stuff backstage like that. You would have Mean Gene interview somebody with a promo, and that was it.
Yeah, and that's all they needed to draw. Now you have all these different segments and whatnot, and look at how
changed. Like, you think that concept would work today?
Yeah.
Really?
If you had good quality talent, good quality production values, and the production values now blow away what they had back then.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think you have to move with the times, and I agree with Vince Russo. You have to move with the times. People watching that kind of 80s wrestling in the 2020s would not watch it. There's no way. You have to move with the time. You need to have storyline because, like he said, wrestling's on TV. It's a television show, so you got to write it like a television show. It's a weekly, episodic television show. I agree with
the difference is back then, everybody had a storyline. Everyone that had name value was involved in some kind of a vendetta back then to build to the matches you were going to pay to see on those house shows.
Right,
now
it was just a match. I'm talking about an actual storyline, it's a build to a story.
Right, you'd have to go and pay to see the matches. So they created the storylines on TV and through the magazines and other platforms they had to get you, again, not just to watch it on TV for free, but to get up off the couch and go and pay money to go and sit through it and buy a ticket, which is why it was the storylines were better and more successful back then. Now that they have all the storylines in the universe, they throw them out there on free TV and no one wants to watch them.
Well, because they have to fill up how many hours of wrestling. You got 2 Raw, 2 NXT, 3 Raw, 2 NXT, 2 hours SmackDown. Then you got a pay-per-view or you have an NXT takeover. It's a lot of wrestling.
No, I mean, you're 100% right. There's too much of it right now, which is why the shows are so long and boring, and another reason why it's difficult for fans to sit through. But I think there's a lot of concepts in the 80s that would work now. I think there's a lot of concepts from the 80s that would need to be modified to 2021 to work. But I think that concept would be eons better than what you have now. One man's opinion.
Right. And one other thing is, when he was talking with Chris Van Vliet, I bet a lot of people probably listen to that guy too. He's a good Chris Van Vliet.
I don't know him.
You never heard of his podcast, Insight?
Nope.
It's just a guy that interviews all damn random people, but it's really good. But anyways, he was talking about one thing too that I thought was interesting was about fuck. You just interrupt me now. I can't remember what I was gonna say.
There were interviews. He was interviewing someone on a podcast.
Right, but about wrestling. God damn it, Dan. Unbelievable. I just lost my train of thought.
We'll go back to SmackDown, and maybe it'll pop back into your brain once you stop thinking about it.
From there, we get a match. We have Ziggler with Rude versus Rey Mysterio with Dominic. 2 great workers. It was a throwback match. Ziggler throws Rey over the barricade, basically power bombs him over it. He's out of there. Kicks Dominic down. We go to commercial. They get back in the ring. Dolph's just beating on Rey all over the place. Rude stops Rey from doing the 619. Dominic gets Rude out of there. Rey Mysterio ends up getting the pinfall over Ziggler. I don't know. I guess it's a little bit different. This was the one match that I wasn't interested in, I guess you could say. So, to me, it is what it was. I don't know what you thought of it.
I think they should have built it up a little bit more. 2 former world champions going at it one-on-one on the road to WrestleMania. I think they could have done a better hype job with it. I think you're eventually going to see this lead to maybe on the pre-show one of the nights, a 4-way tag team title match with the only 4 teams they really have.
Right on. Yep, exactly. I did think of what I was gonna say. Do you want me to go real quick?
Sure.
So one other thing too that he talked about was if
Who are you
think
talking
it, this
about
was
now?
the why the interview, the ratings, and like I was just talking about with SmackDown.
But this is Vince
So-
Russo you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay,
One other thing. One thing was brought up too was I thought this was interesting was back then the best ratings was Attitude Era. Obviously, Vince Russo was writing, and it was what I was just saying, storyline based, going with the times of like the storyline, of like then the 90s into the 2000s, and then now look at they're all fading down. You know what I mean? They're going down. Why was the best time in wrestling when he was writing? Because he was doing storyline based wrestling with the times. You know what I'm saying?
I have to say, and we've had enough discussions about him where there's things about him I'll compliment him for, and there are things that I won't. I think the one thing he was always great at is lighting the match. He would come up with some very interesting ideas, some very interesting concepts, and then he'd have no idea what to do with them, and they'd go all over the place. If you go back, and I know you're someone that actually has.
So good.
And what's that
but
now?
That's the thing is, but the ratings were so good.
Because they were doing things that A, were obscene, and B, that were never done before on a wrestling show. It literally was must-see TV.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying is like, it worked. It worked. Why don't they go back to what works?
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think any wrestling company in 2021 would benefit from having him at least as an advisor to help create storylines. And at that point, I would end his involvement.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. I wish I check every day. I must Google his name at least once a week to see if anything pops up of WWE. At least have thrown failures out there, something for him, man.
Not just WWE, any wrestling promotion.
I don't want him with AEW because I mean I would, but I don't want him there. It's just like when he was in TNA. I want him back with WWE because that's my first love is WWE, and I want that product to be the best it can be, and I know he can do it.
Well, like I said, it would only behoove WWE to have him as someone that plays a role. Like I said, as far as him coming up with concepts and ideas, another thing that I'll always praise him for is that he did something that is not done in WWE right now, which is try and keep everybody involved doing something. He was usually very good at that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry to get off track, guys.
No, that's what makes the shows interesting sometimes.
Talking about something and it just kept on coming up. But from there we get the main event, the main segment of the night. Adam Pearce heads down to the ring. Then Roman heads down to the ring with Paul Heyman and Jey Uso. Edge comes out as well. Then Daniel Bryan comes out also. Adam says, "Thank you for joining me. I understand everything and it makes sense. Daniel Bryan is right. He deserves another shot at the title. At WrestleMania, it will be a triple threat match for the title. Daniel Bryan and Edge then go at it. Then Roman hits Daniel Bryan with a Superman punch, then gets a chair, and Edge spears Roman, and then Jey Uso grabs the chair and hits Roman and Daniel Bryan both with the chair. Then he puts the chair like underneath their heads and gets another chair. Then attacks Jey Uso because then they end up gets attacked by Jey Uso with the chair. Edge starts smashing the officials, which was Pat Buck, I think it was, officially with the officials with the chair. Then sits down on the chair with this evil look. And that's why we were talking about, I think he's probably turning a heel. I really enjoyed the segment because no one talked other than Adam Pearce. I loved it. I thought we were going to get this long, back forth, why they don't deserve it, why he doesn't. It wasn't. It was literally what it should have been. I love the ending segment. I can't wait for next week on SmackDown. This is 2 weeks in a row of great SmackDown from my perspective. I don't know how you felt about it.
Well, you know why they've gone this route with Edge, teasing him as this vicious heel at this point.
No, why? Go ahead.
His angry Christian went to AEW.
Oh, there you go. You're good. I love it. There you go.
No, I thought it was a really good segment to end the show to keep the fans guessing what's going to happen next. Yeah, all around. I mean, Daniel Bryan, sometimes I think his verbal approach can either be hit or miss, a lot of miss, but you know what? With this program, Bryan's been very good. His in-ring is always very good. And Edge and Roman, in my opinion, deliver in both ways. So it's a good little program. I hate the fact that it's a triple threat match. I liked my idea for it better, but again, WWE didn't ask me.
Right
My
on.
buddy Bruce
I
Pritchard, now the executive producer of both shows. I was good enough to open his one-man live shows, but he can't even give me a creative job. Come on, Bruce. Come on,
get it.
Bruce.
Come on, Bruce. I gave it the same I gave last week. I thought it was an 8 out of 10. I thought this I was almost gonna go 10 out of 10, but there was two things that I didn't like, so it bumped it down a little bit. But I love this SmackDown. I've loved SmackDown the last 2 weeks. I think they've been great. What about yourself?
I was close. I gave it a 7 out of 10. If there was maybe a match or two that I really, really liked, I probably would have gone higher than that. But to me, the matches were fine. Nothing great.
There you go.
So we both liked it a heck of a lot more than some of the other shows this week.
That's for sure.
That's for sure.
I have some news. You want to go over?
Lots of news. Yeah, I cut you off at the legs on the NXT review the other day. So let's hit them, baby.
Well, first, let's talk about the Hall of Famers. We get Kane and the Great Khali. I don't really Khali, whatever, but Kane, I think it's very deserving of it, and I just love the way they did it, man. Did you see that? How Undertaker called him? Did you see that?
No.
Dan,
I saw a photo of it on some form of social media, but I didn't watch it.
It was awesome, man. Kane was so choking up about it. Well, Glenn Jacobs, I guess you call him, because he wasn't dressed as Kane. But I thought it was awesome. Undertaker told him, my honor and everything. And he's just like, well, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't you. It was a good moment. I really like it when it's real like that. And
so you know what? Part of me thinks that that's a work, because what if, I've seen they've done that with Bischoff. I see they've done that with Molly Holly this year. What if these people had prior commitments and couldn't make it? What would they do? You know what I mean? I think
you would cancel your prior commitments, because they do the same thing at the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
They do the surprise announcements like that with the guys?
Yeah, I think this is huge in their life. Think about it. You're getting in the Hall of Fame of your profession, whether there's a place or not. Think about it. If they were like Dan Mirade, you're going to, what would you do? You can't.
Well, what if you had like a surgery or something lined up? I don't know. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I feel like it's not a work. I think this is such a big thing because you were in the business so long. But either way, I love the moment, and I think Kane deserves it 100%. I mean, he was part of my childhood timeline. The Big Red Machine, all the brother stuff. I mean, first WrestleMania I seen Undertaker versus Kane. I loved it. I got to meet Kane at in Orlando for WrestleMania 33. I thought it was awesome. I love it. What did you think of it?
I'm happy for him. He's a good guy. He certainly put his time in. Still technically with the company. Khali,
Yeah.
Other than the fact he was a world champion, I would have said absolutely not. But he had the fact that he was a world champion going for him. So it gives him a little credibility, I guess, going in. But, I mean, can you imagine the speech?
Oh, dude, how do you understand him?
That's why I'm asking. Can you imagine the speech?
No, I can't. That's what I'm saying. From there, I just a couple of little quick notes. On when WWE Network is on Peacock, I guess they've been reviewing a lot of stuff, and they're taking a lot of things out of.
Another reason to dislike it.
Which I don't like. That bothers me so much. So that means when I watch our old Rock, because like I was telling Dan, everybody, I watch it in order. So I went back. I started in '93, and now I'm in 2001. That means I'm going to be missing things because they're taking out. Like I guess they took out. I have it here. The 2005 segment when Vince McMahon dropped the N-word. Obviously, that's okay, but just bleep it. Don't take the whole segment out. Just bleep it, because you know what? That had to do with something. But they're taking that out. They're also taking out of the WrestleMania 6 match between Bad News Brown and WWE Hall of Famer Roddy Piper with the black thing, which I get. I get we're in politically right, but whatever. It would happen. It was there. How can you take away something that happened already? Well, you don't.
I understand the PC environment we live in nowadays, but, my reaction to those that complain would simply have been, you know what? There are movies that do the same thing. There's movies where people are called the N-word. There's movies where, there's bra and panties and things. I don't know if those type of matches are going to be removed too, but I'm just along those trains of thought. WWE, it's not like it happened during an NFL football game or a major league or a talk show or something like that. It was on a form of sports/entertainment. So I would say keep it.
Right, and keep it, because you can. It's so simple. You put a guidance on there, or you put like your parental control.
Exactly.
You have somebody that works there, just like you can do on Netflix. You have a kid's part and you have an adult part. The adult part gets it all. Kids start, you put on there. Hire somebody to do it, God damn it. Like, don't take away my wrestling. I grew up with all that.
Can you
Don't
imagine
mess around
what some of those ECW shows will look like?
Right. That's what I'm afraid of.
I mean, some of those pay-per-views could get cut down to about 20 minutes.
I was just going to say, like 20, 40 minutes. And that's the worst thing about it, because I'm watching all those in order. Like, it sucks because I like to go back and relive my childhood.
You're
and now
killing our watch-along material.
Right? Ah, man. We need to do an ECW watch-along before they do take it out so we can just, watch. I think that'd be fun.
I wonder if those shows also might be available on YouTube.
I bet they are, but the quality might be junk. That's my only thing.
Well, beggars can't be choosers sometimes. I don't know. We'll have to do our homework once we start doing. If we've done WCW, we're gonna. You know what? One I thought might be, and I don't even know if I should let the cat out of the bag, so to speak. But in April, once we're back from our WrestleMania endeavor, I thought maybe a good one for April would be the first ECW pay-per-view ever, Barely Legal, which took place in April of 1997. Yeah.
Yes, let's do it. And
maybe the week after Mania we'll do that one.
Yeah, and I think that one's actually on Peacock. I think they put that one on.
Really? Wow. Okay,
yeah, I think they put a few, like I said, they put a few pay-per-views from every, that WWE owns, and I think that was one of the ones they had on there.
Well, I know you showed me the WCW library, and there were about 6 of them.
6 events. Terrible.
I tell you, Peacock is going to have, whatever the day is the official transition goes through, I think it's April 4th. They're going to have a lot of unhappy people when they see how the lack of content, the lack of accessibility as far as being able to navigate the shows, and the editing job that they've done on some of the shows. I think there's going to be a lot of unhappy people.
Yep, I totally agree.
And they just don't know it yet.
The only other news I have is what we were talking about, how come Miz and Bad Bunny are just facing each other. Because right now, I guess John Morrison and Damian Priest haven't been cleared to go. But if they do end up getting cleared to go, it will turn into a tag team match, which you were saying that would be better. So we'll see what happens there.
Will John Morrison have his ODB haircut at WrestleMania?
Well, that's a good question. I know you're excited for it. I know you told me you might get a hairstyle like that, so I don't know.
I've talked to our good friends at Noel Salon, 347 Pleasant Street, downtown Malden, Mass. Hop, skip, and a jump away from the Malden Center T-Stop. You can visit them at noelsalon.com for all your needs. If they can make me look as bad as I look, imagine what they could do for you.
Right on. I like it.
There you go, baby. They have to have the sorceress, Ellen Damsky, give some WrestleMania predictions. Our favorite psychic here in Boston wrestling.
Well, that's all I got. I have nothing else.
You forgot one of the Hall of Famers, though.
What did I forget?
RVD.
That was real?
Yeah.
I thought it was fake because WWE never said nothing about it.
Oh, I was told that it's happening.
Let me check this out because I looked into WWE and I hadn't seen nothing. And this was when
maybe they just haven't announced it yet. I don't know.
Oh, man, maybe you just did some breaking news.
Well, I did. I thought it had already broke.
Yeah, see, no, there's nothing. Everything that's been there, it says, is what do you call it? It's rumored that he's going to be. Just like 7 hours ago, since Paul even teases RVD into the WWE Hall of Fame, but nothing's been. So you maybe just broke some news on our show, buddy.
Well, I don't have the WrestleMania 37 program to see if it's officially official, but I was told that, he was.
Oh, well, there you go. I seen it, but I don't want to do that because I don't want, in case it doesn't happen, I didn't want to say it. But now that you know what? We'll see. Next week, maybe we'll have some more Hall of Fame news for you.
Well, there you go.
All right.
I
can't wait for the watch along.
Any other scoops before we go, sir?
That's it.
That's it. All right, wrestling fans, we'll give you a couple of minutes until the top of the hour. Of course, it'll be Wrestling Insiders Week in Review. This week, we have in-depth studio shoot interviews with Savio Vega looking back at WWF 1994. Marty Jannetty continues his no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll look at WWF 1989. And then John Cena Sr., the father of the operation, so to speak, he shares his thoughts on little modern-day wrestling, Andrade's release, the AEW landmine match bomb, along with the road to WrestleMania. Obviously, with no Tony, the show is a little shorter this week. It's about 3 hours in length. We hope you join us. And don't forget, again, tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. It's our WCW Uncensored 1995 Retro Watch Along. We go back to different times. I don't know if I'd call 1995 better times. That was a pretty lousy year for both companies, but we're going to look back at the big event, and 2 lucky fans, if we sell all 14 slots on our little Wheel of Fortune that we call Ring of Fortune, one will win the grand prize of an autographed Vader poster. The runner-up will win an autographed Vader 8x10, all in our efforts to bring you more Superstar Shoot interviews at Wrestle House in Tampa, Wrestlemania week. Big things happening nonstop, Mr. Carter. Running out of time here for Dave. We'll be back again with our next TV review Tuesday night at 9 when we talk Raw, and at 10 o'clock Tuesday night, what could be the final Wrestling Insider at your house with Tony Atlas. That remains to be seen. We'll see you at 10 o'clock, folks. Be well. The World Wrestling Federation was live at the New Haven Coliseum in New Haven, Connecticut, Thursday, March the 27th, 1986. In the opening contest, S.D. Jones beat Rene Goulet. Tony Atlas battled Iron Mike Sharp to a time-limit draw. Pedro Morales victorious over Moondog Spot. Jim Neidhart defeated Davey Boy Smith. Dynamite Kid with the win over Bret Hitman Hart. King Kong Bundy beat Tony Gurria. And in the main event, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, the Junkyard Dog, and the Haiti Kid victorious over Hoss Funk, Terry Funk, and Jimmy Hart. If you were in New Haven live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to help keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive Superstar Shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed Studio Shoot interview DVD library, and help keep Wrestling Legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling.